It's recording. So, Fredrik, it's a pleasure. It's an honor that you decided to come and answer a few questions about how TGN is meeting the green shift. And one of the biggest challenges of the Norwegian societies, of course, are huge dependence on oil and gas, and it requires startup and scale up expertise to really make the right changes that are very difficult for others, like the government, for example, to pull through at this time. So I have a few questions regarding your business, and wanted to first ask you, and I'm just going to be very clear about that. I'm just making sure that the questions are not visible to the audience. So, Fredrik, TGN is meeting the green shift, and people have a very hard time understanding how technology and green energy go together. Could you please explain what your company does exactly?
Well, our company is definitely supporting the green shift because when you are interfacing renewable energy such as solar panels and wind turbines into the grid, you are also imposing a problem. You are actually shifting out something that is called rotating mass. That is old coal plants, oil plants, and also nuclear power plants that has this rotating mass, and you're pulling in some inverter-based energy sources, and that energy sources that it's inverter-based is very intermittent. It's based on solar and wind that is very, impossible to control really, and that means that you need to have some sort of virtual inertia or virtual rotating mass in your energy system. And that can be, for that you can use, for instance, batteries or other sources. The benefits with batteries is that it's very fast. So when you have a typical imbalance in the grid frequency, you can utilize batteries placed all over, basically. And these batteries respond immediately to the frequency drop. And that is actually a market called fast frequency response, FFR, and FCR, frequency containment reserves. It has many names. And currently, the value of these reserve markets are very high. So that means that it's very beneficial for an investor to realize battery projects. That was a start of what TGN is actually doing. We are pulling out projects and control systems that is doing the whole value chain of from the market basically down to the specific battery, but also, instead of building new grids or reinforcement of grids, new net stations and stuff like that, by deploying batteries, you can better utilize the existing grid. And for instance, if you're going on the highway between Drammen and Oslo, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning is totally traffic jam. What if we see these cars as electrons? And instead of everybody going between 7 and 9, you can distribute the same amount of cars throughout the 24 hours, throughout the whole day. Then you would most likely see less queues, and you can also increase the flow through that time period, which is very beneficial for the society and for you and me as a taxpayer in the end.
So there's many different problems that you guys are tackling. One of them is that wind power and solar power. It's very hard to get energy from them because the sun doesn't always shine when you want it to, and the wind doesn't always blow when you want it to. But we always need power, and sometimes we need more power, and it's just wind or solar doesn't provide that when we need it. And this is
Yep.
why, of course, fossil fuels have been used for so long, because it's very stable. You burn it and then you get the energy, and you burn it when you need the energy. So by having this battery solution, you guys store the energy so that you can use it whenever, wherever. And you mentioned that the traditional grid power that we're using right now, that we spend billions on, is becoming a very inefficient way of getting of using our taxpayer dollars. And you guys have a new solution that's out that makes it so that anyone can utilize these batteries, and eventually they'll be more local, right? So that it's like anyone can use the batteries and produce power with their solar panels to those batteries as a consumer who now is a provider of electricity. So is this method, are we going to see a rollout of a lot of batteries in Norway with TGN Energy?
Yes, I must also emphasize this. This is it is the market is tremendous, and there is of course companies, other companies doing exactly the same thing in other countries. So it's not a unique thing, but I must say that the companies that exist today doing virtual power plant and energy management systems together with the batteries and renewable energy, there is so much high volumes. So I mean, the competition is not really that high anyway. I mean, we all it's something for everybody, so, to be honest. But these unique solutions, not unique solutions, these solutions has or is the solution for the 1.6 degree target to roll out as much as renewable power as possible and support it by energy storage solutions. And also to reduce the e-mobility the mobility used by fossil fuels, trucks and cars using gasoline, to introduce electric vehicles instead, such as trucks and long-haul trucks. And when you do that, you also introduce a new problem. Where are these sources going to charge? And that are going to introduce new requirements for our solutions. So if you have companies throughout all distributed Norway on islands and such, the grid on those islands and on those places are not particularly reinforced to tackle these challenges. But if you introduce battery sources and local solar or energy production, you are able to still compete with the other people that do have the possibilities to introduce e-charging. So this is simply it is an enabler, but in some cases it's just the only way for them to survive, because the competition in the end is going to have, if you have the two C&I industries producing the same product, and then you have one company that can give charging at their end, and the other company cannot. The contracts are in the end going to be awarded where you can actually charge or where you can actually utilize e-transport.
You're talking about e-transport now. So for a lot of people in Norway will know that Norway is a very green country when it comes to electricity production. We have 99% coming from hydropower. And that in itself has been used as a battery. Why do we care about TGN Energy when Norway has so much green electricity production already?
Because you can't use that electricity everywhere. You can use it if you live next to a power plant, but not everybody do that, and not everybody has that opportunity. For instance, for us in Oslo, living in the main capital, we have limited resources or limited electric highways, or the grid is limited towards our capital. So we can't just deploy whatever we want to. However, if you live in a community where you live close by to the some hydropower plants, you might have the luxury to do that. but that's very geographical.
So you're saying that there's a lot of waste that from one hydropower plant, let's say, in the middle of Norway to Oslo, how much electricity is wasted from the energy transference? Is that the point you're making?
No, not really. I mean, the transmission is very efficient, but it means that the capacity needed at any given time is higher now in Oslo than it was 10, 15 years ago, because we didn't have any industries, we didn't have any places to charge big, huge trucks, long-haul trucks, and all these kind of new cars. I mean, it's like 100, 200,000 Teslas running around. I mean, that was not really how they planned the grid 30 or 40 years ago. Right. So that is the problem. So that is what I'm talking about, the capacity. Sorry. Yeah.
So we have a limited amount of hydropower that we can continue to mine in Norway, right? And you're saying that the capacity with all these thousands and thousands of electric cars coming in, everything is becoming electrical. There's a much bigger need, much higher capacity for Norway to continue having this green electricity production if it is going to actually become an electrified state.
Yeah, I mean, it's estimates that in 2030, if we also electrify the whole Norwegian continental shelf, that means all the offshore installations, we are going to be a net importer of electricity. Today, we are a net exporter. However, we also import energy from time to time from our countries where we are connected to. That's why we have these continental cables that is running to Denmark and to England, for instance, or to UK. But sorry, please repeat the question.
So basically, how much more electricity will Norway be needing in the next couple of years, and how is TGN going to provide that extra capacity?
The extra capacity, I have one example right now. I have one customer that has, they have a recycling plant of electronic waste. And they are quite almost maxed out of the power that they can actually take into their factory. So what is the possibilities for them to expand their business, to grow, or to do more in recycling of more other goods, for instance, batteries in the future? How can they do that if they are maxed out today? Okay, they can put some solar panels on the roof. That's good. However, the days when the sun is not shining, or when the local transformer station is close to maxed out, they need to be able to charge their batteries during the night, for instance, in order to continue and expand their business because of the increasing capacity that they actually get by installing extra batteries locally on the industry itself.
So for this customer, I mean, if TGN Energy didn't exist, and there's a lot of these people that you're working with that are doing a great job in providing electricity to our nation. So what would the consequence for them be if TGN didn't exist? What would they do instead?
The thing is that the technology that we are rolling out, that many other people is rolling out, is the analogy could actually be the smartphone. If Apple wouldn't be doing the first iPhone, you probably have seen some new evolutions from the Blackberries or other makers. So there is definitely, I mean, the whole industry, the whole world is pushing for these solutions, and they are renowned. So if there would not be any TGN, hopefully there would be other solutions from other vendors similar to TGN. That could help them. But if there were no batteries and there were no battery industry, this company would definitely have a problem, and they would probably need to establish a new company or new industry building somewhere else, maybe in another country or in another region where they actually have access to power.
Right. So TGN is basically providing the extra energy source that's required for Norway to remove itself from the fossil fuel and gas dependence, such as within transport or other industry, and therefore TGN is providing that green transition that is needed through battery storage that's connected to wind power, solar power, etc.
Yes, we are a part of that solution. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So so when TGN is going to, what are I would like to hear some of your ambitious plans here. So energy production now and energy production in, let's say, 1 year, 2 years, and how is TGN meeting that need for the different nations? And for example, you're in Spain and Norway right now.
Now, the thing is that in Spain, we are establishing our new office in Spain. Spain, that is a country that are typically having blackouts from time to time. In Norway, we only see blackouts when there is storms and really bad weather.
Right.
However, in Spain, you have blackouts, and you're kind of accepting that. That is because the grid is not built, and the processes around it is not very sophisticated compared to what we have in Norway. So the grid in Norway is in Scandinavia is very good. I must say that, and we have processes and operation philosophies to maintain this. But for instance, in Spain, it's a lot of sun, and they definitely have a lot of coal and gas plants. They want to phase out that, and it goes very rapidly. So everybody's investing in PV parks, huge PV parks. And the PV park is the photovoltaic solar cell park. But the problem is that you have so much ingress of power when the sun is up, and then you have so much differences. The volatility is very big between, of course, day and night, and also in between when weather is changing. So the government has now started to say that, okay, in order for us to keep control of the whole national grid, we need to make sure that 20% of that power, the capacity that you're installing on solar panels, has to be batteries. And that opens a huge amount of batteries that is going to be deployed in southern, or at least in Spain and also other countries. And this is just because you need that balance. And that balance is controlled by market and pricing signals that investors really look into because they can get some money out of it. And right now, for instance, Sweden, it's very high. You would call it a super profit market right now because they're closing down nuclear power plants and they are also trading out some old oil plants, and of course from the power from Germany is shifting now from coal and oil, and we go over to renewable, and it has been an enormous need for battery support, and that battery support is the need for that is explained by market signals. And the market signals is one of them is TGN, and of course there is others as well, picking up on that to be able to provide the virtual power plant solutions for the customers that is in need in, for instance, Sweden.
So, for example, the thing is, the focus of the major government players all around the world has been invest in renewable energy. So anything that is green or has solar power attached to it, right? Clearly, that is very easily understood. This is what we need more of. And this is what Spain has done, as you've described. And then the problem was that because the sun only shines when the sun chooses to shine and not in the night, and the wind only blows when the wind blows and not when you want it to, how do you provide the power when people need it at the max points of energy demand? And I think the hard thing to understand is that this becomes a very digital solution. It's a huge optimization problem, and it requires an extensive understanding of energy systems. And so how are you bringing together the digital aspect of this so that countries like Spain can have a much better flow of power from renewable sources?
Yep. Then I think I have to start at the bottom, because energy systems are built up that you have a producer of energy and you have a consumer of energy, and you have to every second the consumption has to be equal to the production, and that is what's maintaining our 50 hertz, right? 50 hertz is the number of the frequency that we have in the grid. So if there's a shift in balance, let's say that you have more production, then actually the frequency is going to go up. So we have a frequency band that we need to work within. And if this band is like, if you're jumping outside the band, you will start some of the critical mechanisms that is actually holding our electrical grid together. And that is mechanisms or called insurances that you buy, that typically the Statnät or Svenska Kraftnät, which is the TSO, the transmission line provider and operator, they are buying these services nationally to maintain their main target, and that is to keep 50 hertz in the grid. And that is done in all countries, or all Northern European countries.
Right.
So let's say there is a shift in demand and the frequency goes down, then a lot of things is going to happen autonomously. And that is the engagement of, for instance, batteries and engagement of, let's say, big circuit breakers is opening up in order to reduce the consumption to save the grid. So yeah, we can call it a grid saver. They're opening the circuit breakers in order to stabilize the frequency back again. And these volumes of, these kind of automatic solutions are bought up in markets. It could be, the markets could be typically a stock exchange market. And stock exchange market in the 1970s was very manual. Stock exchange market today is very optimized algorithms and reinforced learning mechanisms and AI and all that. And this is what we see in the electrical revolution that is happening right now. Instead of having people buying these resources and volumes, there is actually automatically algorithms working up in the cloud, engaging, disengaging, arming, unarming different assets. And when I say call an asset is typically a battery container or a big load somewhere, let's say a big melting plant. If you can stop that melting plant for 30 seconds, you will get a lot of money, or you will save a lot of money. So these pricing mechanisms is what is controlling the assets, and that's behind us. In order for all these things to work, you need to have, as you say, it is a huge optimization problem. So you have optimization things that is happening on the low end next to the batteries, and also up on the cloud in order between different sites and between different between different what can I say? Between different sites. Yes.
So you're essentially removing the fact. Okay, before we had to kind of predict when wind would come, and then utilize wind power accordingly. Obviously, that doesn't work because it's an incredibly difficult prediction. We haven't figured out how to predict wind. Without the optimization part that you're doing and providing this battery that you can just get the electricity from whenever you need it, it's not possible to digitalize Norway as a nation, or provide green power to Norway as a nation, because that optimization problem is absolutely essential to get right. Is that and this is one of the things that TGN Energy has spent.
This is one of the main issues that the TSO or the national grid is working out now. How can we work cross-border because all our grids are interconnected. So this optimization problem, it is probably going to work very well when everybody is releasing their private AIs just for a while for controlling grids. But we need to have a kill switch, and we need to have some certain rules in order to not make overshoots and things to come in making bad, let's say, harmonic oscillations and all that. So for now, we are working with neural networks on how to do the best trading, basically, based on the different market signals. So before I started this business, I thought, okay, we can have local AIs doing arbitrage trading, peak shaving, and all that. But then quite quickly we came up with we saw that the market signals is the best way to in order to provide a society benefits, because the market values are going to tap into the pain points where the resources is actually needed.
What do you mean by a market signal?
The market signal is typically there is a need for certain insurances. Let's say that you have a hydro plant producing a lot of electricity, and then you have something, let's say a big consumer, let's say a aluminum melting plant. So these two are working in close, and it's balanced, and the melting plant is actually using so much electricity, so they need to talk to the production facility the day before and say that, okay, yeah, we are going to work 6 hours today, we're going to produce this much energy. Can you please open the gates in the hydropower plant so that you can actually produce this amount of energy? And they said, yes, okay, it's cost this, and they are into the market, and they are negotiating, and they finally set on a price, which is set on the Nord Pool. Everything is great. Price is set, and they buy this. However, if they suddenly have a problem in that hydro power plant, or sorry, not the power plant, but the plant where you actually make aluminum. Let's say you have some stop or manufacturing stop. That means that the people that is actually producing power suddenly is producing for nobody, and that creates an imbalance. So in order for that, you need to look at the risks of if these events happen, then you need to be able to absorb the energy somewhere, right? Or it could be the other way around. It could be that you suddenly lose the power plant, the hydropower plant, so you don't have enough production. Then you need to go the other way around, that they are actually producing aluminum, but they don't have power. So you have a shifting frequency to the lower part. It goes down from 50 to 49, and these things are called. This is like a second market. Then you need to check the risks of these events is going to happen, and then you need to buy up insurances, like a volume of megawatt or megawatt hours that might be ready to absorb or ready to give out energy. So this is the same thing that is working exactly the same thing for PV plants. If we stop all the hydropower plants in the world and we base ourselves that tomorrow we are going to produce X amount of solar energy, and we don't get that, we need to use these resources or these reserves, and then we are coming into something called reserve power market. And reserve power market is a market where you are putting your batteries into this, they're disposable into the market. So you're bidding, and then you get money back, right? Okay, so it means that if I win a few hours, what is happening then is that I'm standing like this, and I'm looking at the frequency. And if the frequencies drop, I'm dispatching power immediately. If it doesn't happen, then it's good. I get paid anyway. So it's kind of like an insurance policy. So these insurance policies, that is open markets. And these open markets is like it's 5 or 6 or 7 different markets, which has different pricing signals, and they are shifting based on how much gas it's coming into Europe from Middle East or these kind of things. So it has to be like an optimization algorithm, looking at all these markets and try to optimize, okay, where should I be and where should I bid right now in order to get the most money from my battery. So that is the market signals that I'm talking about. So instead of doing locally taking good decisions locally, we are looking at a market perspective where we actually utilize the bidding and the market signals in order to tell our batteries when to stand at ease, or not at ease, to stand ready. And if something happens, I'm ready to dispatch power. If nothing happens, I get paid anyway. That's how reserved market is working. And that's today the markets that are paying most for battery assets. But in the future, you might also say that, okay, how much more for the society is actually battery doing locally? And then you will probably see local energy markets coming in. They have a new local energy market in Drammen called Euroflex. And that market is taking care of like problems within Drammen. Because you have all these transmission cables going to different cities, right? That is the Statnett or the TSO's responsibilities. But within a city, you also have some constraints. And suddenly you have one person want to build more, you want to build, let's say, a community, 500 apartments and stuff like that, but simply you don't have power. And then you have these local markets coming in. It's a very complex, and it's very hard to tell it in such a short time. But I surely want to elaborate much longer if you want to.
I appreciate that it's a very complex topic, and the thing with these complex topics, there's this optimization problem here. There's an optimization problem with the traders, with the market signals, with the different types of energy. If you use fossil fuels, it's a very different optimization problem than if you use solar power, if you use wind power, and if you use batteries, and if you use a local grid compared to a bigger grid. Now, when you have all these moving parts working together, one of the biggest blockers that I see Norway is facing is the digitalization aspect of it. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, definitely. Data capture, putting the data, makes sense of it. Yeah. Asset management in a good way, in a good, reliable way, and also the way of connecting all the market signals into the asset. So that is purely digital.
And I think it's, obviously you guys are meeting the green shift, but when you see all these complexities that are kind of underneath, it's really not appreciated for people that are, putting the budgets together. How does digitalization and this competency crisis that Norway is having, according to the directors of the digitalization Direktoratet from Norway, when they're saying there's a competence crisis in digitalization, and the competence, would you agree with that, or do you think that Norway is doing okay in that area?
No, it's I would I don't really. For me, I have been so fortunate to work with people that are much better than me, and that is and the right sourcing of personnel has helped me or has helped us to reach our goals. I don't really understand or know what the other, but sourcing of personnel and sourcing what they are going to do and find the right candidates is probably it's key for us. And I've been working with my network and also together with DIGGIT to find these resources. So I can't really relate to that problem, but I do understand that there is a big surge for engineers and data engineers in general. I accomplish that, absolutely.
And then to just touch upon that, what was your situation? So you've used DIGGIT to hire, but what was your situation before using DIGGIT? Did you consider using other, like most people use Fin?
There is these platforms and these people that are doing what do you call it, headhunting and these kind of things. But honestly, for me, that is like a HR filter, I would say. And since we are, I think we are. I mean, it is good to find people working in teams. And that could fit teams, that the HR thing that, okay, he's red and that is blue and so and these kind of things. Right. But for me, after COVID, we co-located a lot. The need for working in teams and all this has probably decreased a little bit for us, and speed and competence in the area has been, absolutely key. I must say, and for us to look at these, getting, I can't really find a good way today with the market channels that we used to use. I mean that is there today. The common market channels. I don't see how they can vet correctly in the way of measuring competence of what I need. They can vet that, okay, this person is all right, and that doesn't have this problem, or vice versa. But I can't do a quality check of competence. I can only check references basically. Yeah. Microphone.
Would you say that's the biggest pain in the recruitment?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
There's just no actual verification process.
Definitely.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people are okay with CVs today? And that's the majority. 70 to 80% of companies in Norway use CVs for hiring within this space.
It's so established. It is a short resume of what you have done. You kind of get a glimpse in of how that person might behave and how that person might work in groups and all. But I mean, there is, maybe quite a few years back, then people were probably writing all truth in their CVs. But I think that there are some bias towards maybe right. If you have been a part of a project, you are kind of you want to sell yourself, right? So you kind of increase.
So the next question was, what approaches did you try before DIGGIT? You've had other methods in the past, I imagine.
Yeah, I always trust my stomach feeling. I always trust my network. My network is, I think it's rather big. So I've used my channels and talked to people, and I've seen that every approaches has been like, they are occupied or happy where they are, basically, I didn't have so many approaches on. It's just a standard channels like headhunting, asking headhunters, asking Fin.no or the market channels, or putting an ad out. And I used LinkedIn as well. I got a few people from throughout the world that were interested. That's pretty much it.
So you posted an ad on LinkedIn. Was it a free job ad, or was it a paid one, or it was?
Yep, the paid one. Yep.
And how much value did you get from that, would you say?
I get some values though. I got like a few interesting personalities, but I mean, still the risk and the downside is huge for me. How can I know based on, okay, we can have a few interviews. I think it's easier to go in LinkedIn way than using headhunters, because I can quite quickly see what I want and what I choose to not work with. But still, that is that competency. It's a joker.
There's a lot of hiring managers that will say, well, as long as I can see the projects that they've done on the CV, then I know, for the most part they're good, and I will trust the candidate. Why would I distrust them? What would you say about that?
That's totally rubbish, I would say. Working in a project, there is so many different fields in a project, and there is so many different tasks in a project. Even if the project was the biggest project in Norway or whatever, that role that they actually made, the contribution and all, it's I can't use those words to say that. Yeah, I'm confident that this person is a good one. Really can't.
Very, that's a very interesting answer. That's very different from what I've heard, but it makes a lot of sense. And then the next question is, how did you find DIGGIT?
Because the thing is that I think it was 2019 or something like that. You started, Psycode started as approach of teaching AI very early, I would say. And I was very interested because I really wanted to see the trends, try to understand it, and like demystify it. So I went on to those courses, and of course the company. I've been following you guys, and I've seen that you have shifted a bit. I even tried the platform myself with attending the Python course, and so I kind of used it, and I learned. But I mean, I'm not a skilled programmer in that perspective. I just wanted to know what I was talking about, and then we actually started up TGN. So a lot of other water flow under the bridge. But then eventually, you started to set up some things that you are actually vetting good programmers and giving people a second chance, because I don't believe in that. Schools and CVs and all this is actually, people have hobbies and they're burning for stuff to do. They have passion, and I can't really find the passion in a CV based on education. A lot of things that might have happened in their life that said, okay, shit, this is awesome. I want to be the best programmer in the world, and they just set onto it. That is the people that I want to find. Not one that I just went to school doing programming and then I'm not very interested. But that is not the people I want to work with. I want to work with like energetic people that burns for and have a passion for what they're doing.
Very well said. I can't disagree with you there. You have a very impressive background yourself, Fredrik. You've studied at top universities. You've worked at top companies, some of the biggest energy companies, some of the biggest, you worked at Broadnet when, the Wi-Fi and the internet revolution. I'm a bit surprised that you would say that, because you yourself have a very good background in terms of education and working in the industry. You have a great CV yourself.
Yeah, thank you. But the thing is that I've learned that during my first years in my career, I really burnt. I really felt that passion, and slowly you like pushing, moving around a little bit. You kind of get to know the market, but someday in the 30th or 35-year-old, you kind of. You lose the passion, or it goes like a little bit like up and down, and I really miss that feeling of waking up in the morning and just love my work. But I also saw it in a long perspective. I need to go down into those valleys in order to kind of appreciate what I have. So I shifted around a little bit to simply gain life experience. And that has taught me that the passion is still the most important thing. You can learn pretty much anything if you are passionate enough. Yeah.
It's a beautiful answer. What made you decide to give DIGGIT a shot?
No, you had a interesting challenge. The first time we started challenge, and then I believe the shape of DIGGIT was still a little bit, let's say, exploring. I must say. We did that challenge and we got a few cool candidates, but to be honest, TGN really didn't know either. We wanted to do everything, and we were also exploring. So I must say it was like it has been like life in general, trial and error. But now you came up with something that, okay, you are doing this vetting, and then you're doing this vetting, checking the challenges in different categories, and also I've heard something about that there is a few candidates coming up now that has really high score, and I believe that when you walk in parallel with other people in your life. Suddenly you get like intersections, right? So it was just the perfect timing. We actually needed to get some person. I don't know if you contacted me or if I contacted you, but I think I said that, okay, I need a programmer from full stack developer. Do you have one? And I said, yeah, actually, we have this competition right now, and I have a class A score here, and yeah, you might want to look into it.
Cool.
So that's why we.
And of course, there are developers from NOV, and you can get a 50% NOV will pay 50% for hiring someone who is from there. Did you approach that channel? And if not, why?
No, because I still don't think it is a vetting process in that NOV thing. It's a great thing, but come on, NOV should go to you and subscribe for your services so that the people that you actually get from NOV has some kind of score or something like that. But it is hard, to be honest. You don't want to discriminate people. And you want everybody to have a chance, but for me, that is working as a single. I'm self-employed. I can't afford having people that doesn't have the passion nor having the competence of doing what it takes. But if that changes in the future, and if that's politically correct that NOV is also doing these kind of services together with DIGGIT, then I would say it's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
Because right now, NOV is claiming that to some extent that the industry is not being inclusive enough, and they should give other people a chance. So, do you think that you're not being inclusive enough?
Inclusive, yeah, but I'm not sorry, but capitalism is very hard. It's bone hard. If I can't be inclusive just to be nice, I need somebody that can actually do the job, right? Otherwise, I won't pay that high salary in order for people to doing nothing, or in a much lower way, lower level. So it's all or nothing for a self-employed person, basically.
These are very harsh words, but this is the reality that has to be reflected. We don't have a lot of money in this market, and how can we possibly take the risk? As you're saying, it's not.
It would be great if NOV can give me money, or if they can provide, let's say, with a in some sort of ways, then we might look at it as this. But if to be honest, if I can have two not so good or three not so good programmers, or I can have one really awesome magician or wizard, then I would probably use the wizard,
Right.
because it's also programming is also creativity. You really want people to do a change. If you are working in a company that wants to do change, you also want the other people in the company to be on the same vibe. And in order for the creativity to aspire into the company, we need to make that little extra effort. Hey, look what I did! Look what I did! Isn't this cool? We are encouraging people to think outside. How can we visualize this kind of data? How can we utilize this kind of data in a good society friendly way, in order for the society and in order for the world to benefit on it? If I have to choose between those two things, be kind or do something that we can all benefit of in the end, I would probably use the latter.
I can't argue with that logic. In fact, it's kind of impossible to. So I can only say, yeah. What was the first positive moment that you had with DIGGIT?
The first positive moment was when I saw the scoreboard, and that you told me that actually I have many good. You had some nights where you are having a lot of people coming in talking about AI, especially for curing cancer. Pfizer or other like big brands have been talking about how they solve different problems. I like these events. They are inspiring, and hopefully one day I can also come and inspire people. I'm really happy and up for that. Talk to data scientists and engineers and programmers that has a high skill is very energy boosting for me, because all the talents that are in these kind of events are much better than myself, and that's where I like to be.
Or else there's no value. If you could do everything yourself, then why would you hire any? Yeah, right.
No.
But I have to say, looking at the solar panels, looking at the machinery that you're working with, looking at how you're connecting things together, the sensors, all of that stuff you're putting together, I'm always amazed. I just Google TGN Energy Fredrik and I see all so much going on, and it is really impressive work. What was what tangible results have you gotten from using DIGGIT?
The best one is that actually our candidate, Mr. Gaute, he was very welcomed and came very well inside the team. That is, one of the, well, I wouldn't say it's a disadvantage, but that's something that DIGGIT can improve on, and also put maybe a little bit more into leadership skills and a different skill of how the person is, if he's introvert, extrovert, and these kind of things. But nevertheless, we had a few talks, and we found out that we were on the same page on pretty much anything. So we gave it a go, and Gaute was employed in September, I believe. He started work for us then. And from day one, he was very welcomed in the team, and he has been producing magic ever since. He's very quick. He's a jewel, to be honest. We have done. You've probably done a lot of mistakes throughout the years, but he's definitely not a mistake. He's definitely something that we are very happy to have on board.
That's amazing to hear. And of course, TGN, besides creating the energy systems, has to create the front end parts, the dashboards, the visualization of the data and how it connects together through APIs and connecting the algorithms. Is there any, like, Gaute has a wide set of skills. Is he able to do that fast enough as you would have expected a senior to do?
Yeah, he has already done it. He have integrated. I think it's like 5 different vendor APIs into different equipments. He has taken care of the whole stack, basically, from migrating over to from one platform to another, and set everything to be streamlined between login and, I mean, of course we have an IT stack, so he's now responsible for all the different topics and functions there, and he's now taking in APIs with the market data, and he's writing some small codes and doing some specifics for key performance indicators. He's actually making a picture for that we call a CFO picture, which is a finance module that will translate all the investments done for the energy management system and for the battery system as a whole, in order for them to be producing information back to the investors to see, to talk their language, return of investments, capex, opex, revenues, blah blah blah. All these kind of things is he's taking it from a day to another. So I'm happy to show you some of it later. That's no problem.
If you want to share it with me, I'll put it over this screen so that people can see as you're talking what you were talking about. I'll just add a layer on top of this broadcast.
Do you want me to share a screen now?
Yeah, that would be cool as well. If you have it already there, it's no problem.
Yeah, I will just load it in here. Let's see here.
So, as you're loading that in, Gaute doesn't have an education in computer science, and one of the biggest issues in reaching the green shift, according to the government, is more ICT study places. And we need, according to the government, 40,000 by 2030, 40,000 new IT developers.
Mm-hmm.
The current solution has been to increase the number of ICT positions, number of university position slots for ICT.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that, we're not able to create enough university slots. The government has put a lower budget on the university education. Regardless, so do you think that because Gaute doesn't have a background in ICT in university, is that been a problem?
No, it's we I mean, the level that it is probably some sort of basic knowledge that you are learning on the university. Then of course you adapt that to the challenges that you have today. But basically, what I learned in the university was simply to take in a lot of information as fast as possible and try to digest it and make good on the exams. So when you have Google, OpenAI, and all of these things today, it goes even faster. He has a university degree, so you see, he has, but in a totally different topic. So he know how it is to learn stuff, and that is what we are. That basic knowledge. He's very fast to solve challenges, even if he doesn't know how to treat them at the moment. It takes maybe a half a day and some Googling and reading up on certain things. Then we also have that functionality.
And what do you say to the recruiters that are automatically not looking at candidates that don't have a relevant background, like ICT education?
No, it's I don't say they can continue do that, because then I can have more quality engineers in TGN Energy. that's very good. To be egoistic, but I understand that there is like a HR. It needs to be, I guess, a revolutionary shift in how you employ people by also checking up their knowledge. I mean, Google has done it for, I don't know, 10 years. It must be some basic testing or that you can do besides of asking if they can drink alcohol or if they are how they are in social settings. I mean, yeah.
Interesting. And what made you think that even though he didn't have an education in ICT, and I know you've mentioned a few reasons, but what made you think that this guy will definitely be able to do the job?
Because I saw that he had an eye for detail. He's a photographer, and he has some sort of movie. I mean, he's a creative person. He is digging into the details, and he has probably some passion that kind of drove him there. And now he have actually, in a very short time, maybe on his spare time, in like a hobby, grasped all that information on programming and doing both backend and UX in order to do a top score in a challenge that he never seen before. That is remarkable to me. That means that this person can collect a lot of information in a very short time and utilize that in his head in order to score high on a test. I mean, it's either that the test was successful or he was cheating. That's basically that. But that I leave to DIGGIT to verify.
Yes, I believe the fact that he's been able to work, as you have said, and not failed any projects, delivered on time, maybe faster than what you had expected, maybe not. But I think that is the testament in itself.
Yes.
What would you say to others watching this right now?
Do the test. And if you fail the first time, Google a little bit. Do use OpenAI, use GitHub assistance, get better. Do it one more time. If you fail one more time, then do it again. If you feel the passion for it, if you only feel that you want to have a job, then you might think that. Then you might rethink that. Okay, is programming really something for me? But if you really love programming and like the way you do, do these things, I think you should take the challenge 1, 2, or 3 times or whatever, in order to improve. I'm sure that if you actually putting your effort into this, you are going to be a great programmer because I think the challenges are really good.
I really appreciate those words and the encouragement to the candidates out there struggling right now. And also, there's about 20 grad IT programs in Norway from the biggest companies that have the most amount of revenue. About 99% of them are using CVs first. What would you say to those companies that have 400 students, 1,000 students applying all at once, and them using CVs to assess these graduate students?
No, it's good with CV, but okay, pick up the persons that you like in the CV. Let the companies do the HR part, and find the people that can work well in your group. Then you send these personnels into DIGGIT, and you make a test in DIGGIT, and then you come back with the results.
Fair enough. And would you say that? Okay, yeah, I think that's very clear. What about, so finally, what would you say to the people that were in your situation now, the hiring managers that are in your situation now? What would you say?
Hiring people, the same thing as I would just say that use DIGGIT. You need to, we can't be so restrict. We need competence. We need to accelerate the way that we are working on. We cannot let we need competence. Use DIGGIT so that we can get some things happening here. That's pretty much the only thing I can. I'm not gonna go to Finn.no or Headhunter for asking more engineers doing front and back end programming. I'm going to use vetting companies because I can't afford else.
And what? Why would you use DIGGIT as the vetting company and not another company that does?
I don't know so many other. Vetting companies, and I don't. I have a success rate of 100% on the first one, so it takes more time for me to change to another one. So I mean, it's we can't change in everything at once. So hopefully DIGGIT will also improve, which I think everybody's doing throughout the way, and make things even better, more challenges and all that.
Much appreciated, and I really hope that TGN continues its exponential scale and helps solve the green shift that Norway is struggling to reach by 2030. One of the very few companies in Norway that's doing this, that puts their money where their mouth is, that actually gets results, that actually creates value, that actually contributes to the green shift, doesn't just talk about it. You guys are actually doing it. There's so little venture capital in Norway. 0.7% of the GDP of Norway is spent on startups, yet TGN is one of the only companies in Norway that's able to contribute to the green shift.
Thank you. That's good.
Would you say that there? Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot more to be said about that, how TGN is solving it, but the website is really explaining a lot of the different products that you have launched, and I think people should definitely check it out because there's really very few companies that are doing that.
We are also launching a demo now. We are changing a little bit of how we do marketing as well. We really want to be an edge on anything. So we are using the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine is a motor that you are doing video games today. So we are releasing in now November a demonstration of what we're actually doing inside the grid. So we are going into a specific city where you can see different use cases, where you can go in and look into the virtual power plants and see what batteries are actually doing to have a better understanding in both technological way and economic and socio impacts of what this is going to do for the grid. So stay tuned.
Incredible. Well, I'm looking forward to that, and I have a background in renewable energy, so this is really at the heart of what I wanted to work in. So I'm just really glad that you guys stepped up to the plate and are really showing what digital leadership looks like in Norway, to be able to not only contribute to the green shift, but really solve the problems that are pressing, super complex, lots of moving parts, all the algorithms required to get it to work together. And this is something that you guys are on the forefront of. So thank you so much for explaining that to me and making that really clear to the audience what is that TGN does.
Thank you. Finally, I just want to show you guys what we're doing with now. This is our web portal. It's a little bit we are pushing new updates as we speak.
Very cool.
But what you're looking at here is all the assets that we have planted right now. Red, blue, it has different status. The green ones are battery containers. The red ones are not connected to the cloud yet. It's under construction. And the blue ones is external API sites. So, for instance, I can log into one of our I can log into one of our assets here in this is a shopping mall, and what you actually see here is that you see consumption inside the shopping mall. You see the battery power, renewable power, and the grid power. That the grid power is actually what you pay for. So right now the renewable energy mix is quite low because it's in October and it's really bad weather. So we don't have much sun today. But what you can see is that the customer actually is using more power than they are allowed to do. So you can see that the grid, from the transformer from the grid, we're actually using 200 kilowatts or 203 kilowatts flat.
Oh.
But the consumption is actually going up to 280, 290, and that could be charge stations, it could be a new freezer, it could be whatever. But the battery is doing the whole battery work today here. So you see currently the battery is at 75 kilowatts, so it's regulating constantly. And you can look at there is also a market for selling CO2. So that is also taking into consideration when we talk about profit. So we use the CO2 and the renewable energy that is produced today. So today we have produced 67 kilowatt hours, and lifetime we have produced 319 megawatt hours. It's a rather new system, so it has only been in operational throughout the summer. We can further drill a little bit to an analytics page that is currently under work, and we can go in and look at data for a week or for a month. We are working with a really fast new way of pulling data now with a new API that is going to be released in the end of this month.
Cool.
We have the asset management aspect of it. We want to see, okay, what's happening with all these signals, the markets, the alarms. If there is an alarm, there is emails, reports coming out in order for us to be ready, because you don't want to have downtime. Currently the state of charge in the batteries is 47%. And it is not the data from yr.no is not coming in, but however, the market data from Nord Pool and from Empo is coming in. So that's our market pricing signals. Further on, we see some. It's not really up. We can go into our test site here. It's more. You can go into the value hub here. Here you can say typically installation and total income, total expense, what is the payback time, the CAPEX, what is CAPEX divided into, and also what the OPEX, what is the operational cost 2022 to 2023, and how much carbons in euro or in Norwegian crowns. So this is simply a hub of collecting all these data. And for the markets in Sweden now, this is an API going into the value of pricing of the different of let's say 1 megawatt battery. 1 megawatt battery is currently the price for that is currently 20 euro. That is that's correct. If you have one battery in standby for 1 hour, that's roughly 20 euros for doing nothing. That means that if you summarize that in a year, it's roughly 600,000 to 700,000 euros of income of doing nothing. Is the insurance policy, and a battery asset costs roughly about 900,000 euros. So that actually means that in Sweden right now, for having these kind of resources, you have a return on investments for between 1.5 to 2 years, which is really good.
Wow.
So all these data is transferred and is being optimized, and then you're sending signals back to the assets that I showed you here on the map. We are doing some we are doing some adjustments right now. So the asset is here. So all these green dots are getting this set points into them, so that they can stand ready when the market is paying a high value for the assets.
So these are you call them assets. They're your batteries that you've set up throughout. And
it's
it's
also a huge PV plant. Not huge, but it's a power plant of 523 kilowatt hours down in Fredrikstad. So we also have control of that, and we can see how much it's producing, and that is also where we can get CO2 savings out from, and also production data of how much that is produced within this cloud. Then we can generate reports and all these kind of things.
How much CO2 have you saved, and is it significant compared to, reaching the green shift at the moment?
I'm not really. We need a couple of hundred TGNs to do something, or maybe thousands in the world. But right now we are saving 885 tons of CO2, which is. I mean, we have not been operating so many years, but this number is going to increase manifold by the installations that we actually now not own, but that we are connecting into the asset management cloud.
How much can you save, let's say 5 years time? How much carbon? So right now it's 800 tons about. How much in 1 year? How much in 5 years?
Actually, I don't have a target for that, but it's going to be a few thousand, a lot of thousands. That is for sure. But I mean, this is actually a byproduct when you do have these battery installations. The main income and the main society impact is when you're easing up capacity in the grid. Yeah, you can look at this platform having multiple revenue streams, and this is one of them, but not the main one.
Understood. Okay.
Yep. Yes, because TGN is not a PV deployment company. I mean, there is many. If you look at Solspecialisten, they have many thousands of PV installations. Their number must be huge, but together with Solspecialisten would not be able to or not be allowed to put so many and continue their growth if they would not have batteries in the grid. So it's like batteries and solar or wind is going hand in hand.
Yeah, well, that made it incredibly clear, Fredrik. So again, very impressive work. I think we'll have to leave it at that, and I'll let you know how the video goes, and if there's any major mistakes or whatever, I'll let you know with the production.
No worries, and thank you very much, Magnus. It's been always a pleasure. I want to talk more about this, and I'm sure that we are going to put. I think now we have 10 assets in our cloud. Within a short time, we'll probably have 20, 30, 40 assets, and by 2 years' time, we should have reach over 100 minimum. That's a low target, and we can talk about megawatts and gigawatts of hours next time, hopefully.
Yeah, I think maybe just like if you could send me over a kind of goal that you guys have, just so I can state that TGN is meeting the green shift, contributing to meeting the green shift for Norway, and just make it really clear for people how much impact you guys can actually make. Not just like from today, but based on the progress, like, you mentioned thousands of tons of carbon, and then all the energy production, right? So like maybe
based on the speed and the vision. It's important to have a vision. Our vision is to be the biggest virtual power plant in the world, and of course that is Tesla today because they have all the cars and all that. But okay. I mean, who knows? Let's just aim at that way, and then just work constantly to thrive towards reaching that goal.
I mean, it's hard to say more than that, isn't it? So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop the recording now. So thank you so much, Fredrik.
No worries.
It's